Hey guys, welcome to the Fish Room. I'm Rachel O'Leary and it's time for a Tuesday tip. This week I thought I would show you some more of the sort of shortcuts that I use in the fish room to make my life easier. Now, one of the things I talk about a lot when I'm lecturing to various aquarium societies and hobbyists is about feeding shrimp and the dangers of overfeeding and also sort of the mess that shrimp make while you're feeding them. So I have a few different strategies that I use here in my fish room to try and reduce the amount of waste that gets spread over the tank. Now I'm not going to recommend to you a specific food. Needless to say, my preference is for very hard pellets for shrimp, mainly because they fall apart less and get into the substrate less. So what I've done is I've grabbed a few supplies from around the fish room that I use. Many of which are things that you would have in your house as well. One is a little roach clip, which is just the little metal clips. I also get the plastic coated chip clips. I've used some stainless wire, which I have from hooking driftwood together, but thread or whatever would work. I have a little terracotta dish. You could go to the art store and pick up the little tiny terracotta lids for, like 10 cents each. They work great. And then I have a siphon tube that I've taken off the parts and it's just a tube. So let me show you what I do here in the fish room. So what I've done here is simply place that terracotta dish into the tank and put the food into it. And what usually happens with this is the shrimp sit in this little dish and graze, and rather than any of the little debris falling down into substrate if you had it, it's contained a bit more into the dish. Now this is a 55 gallon, and in order for me to put food in the dish without it blowing all over the tank, I either have to get really wet or I use that siphon tube, and let me show you that. Now, one strategy I've come up with to not get soaking wet and feed my tanks in the bottom of these dishes is I simply take my siphon tube, put it into the water just over the dish, and then drop the sinking foods into it, and that guides the food into the dish and hopefully prevents a little bit of the mess. You can see the food is now in the dish, the shrimp are hanging out, everybody's happy, and I can come back in a few hours, and if it's not all eaten, remove anything that's extra. It's very easy. Another strategy that I will use is to take one of these plastic covered chip clips or a clothespin or a roach clip, any of those things, and simply clip the pellet in it and then suspend it in the tank. Here I've used wire and I've simply hooked it to the piece of emergent driftwood. And again, all this does is keep that pellet from sitting in my substrate where microorganisms like planaria or hydra can cause problems. You can see they're pretty happy with that. This works really well too for fish that are more herbivorous, that you want to feed those sinking algae-based pellets to. My dear friend Pam Chin from California does this with all her trophies. She uses clips and then just suspends the pellets in the top water. And rather than one fish or invertebrate being able to steal the entire pellet, this sort of holds it in place so that they can just pick and graze at it. I thought it was ingenious when I saw she and her husband Gary doing this. So that's it. Pretty easy. Make sure you stop by my Facebook as well as my website, MsJinx.com, where you can find my upcoming speaking engagements, my current stock list, and information on all things nano. I've also been thinking about doing a Q&A with you guys, so if you have any specific questions for me about anything, let me know in the comments below, and if we get enough, then I'll do a Q&A video for you.